Joining me now is Richard Stern, the director of the Grover M. Herman Center for the Federal Budget at the Heritage Foundation. Richard, it is great to have you with us today.
And it's great to be here today. Thank you again.
Both sides, the White House and Congress, are hopeful to reach a deal to raise the debt ceiling. McCarthy says it's possible by the end of the week. The GOP wants work requirements to get SNAP, and they also want caps on spending and changes to the energy permitting, whereas the White House says it's a no deal if they take away health coverage or if they push Americans into poverty. What common ground is expected here?
Well, so I think here's the core part about this. The White House is very out of step with even their own base, right? Most people in this country believe that if you can work, you should work. They don't like the idea of stealing from people who do work hard to give it to people who could work but stay out of the labor force. That's why prices are so high. It's why store shelves are empty. It's why the American middle class is being squeezed. So there is common ground here to have work requirements to make sure that people that are getting welfare benefits that can work do work. That common ground is just not with the White House specifically. But I'm optimistic that we can get that kind of good group of Democrats that believe in that together with conservatives to get that kind of thing done.
Hopefully they can avoid a catastrophe here. Now, the American Banker published an article saying that they should do away with the debt ceiling and just pass a balanced budget amendment. Some of the ideas in the past have said this could be a percentage of the GDP with a hardline rule saying you can't raise taxes and you can't raise the debt ceiling. They say it's a bad idea, but maybe there's a more moderate approach, like they're suggesting, to only allow the deficit spending maybe in times of emergency and give it 10 years to ramp up to that balanced budget. What are your thoughts here?
So I love the idea of a balanced budget amendment. Heritage has featured it in our annual budget blueprint we put out, and I was a former congressional staffer, and I've worked on many of those proposals you talked about there. But I think here's the key part about this. The debt ceiling and a balanced budget amendment, really all of these things, these are indispensable tools for the American people to ward off against an abusive government that has no check on how much of its paycheck, of your paycheck, the government can steal to fund their friends and the increasingly woke and weaponized bureaucracy. So I would love the idea of getting a balanced budget amendment, but to be fair, at the moment, the one tool like that we have is the debt ceiling. It is crucial that the American people get a win out of the debt ceiling. And that win, of course, is to stop having their paychecks siphoned off, to stop being put under the crushing weight of an inflation tax. That's what's really important here. That's what we need to keep the country from defaulting, not so much the government.
Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, right now what happens is that if you or I sign a loan, right, we add to our credit card, you and I have agreed to pay back that debt with money that you and I worked hard to earn. When the government signs a debt, when it takes on debt, it's agreeing to pay back that money with money you earned, not that the government earned. The government can't earn money. So that's what the debt ceiling is there for. It's there to stop the government with its infinite political power from being able to just steal as much of your paycheck as it wants to spend money on the things that federal bureaucrats decide to spend money on. So that's why it's important that if the debt ceiling is raised, it's raised as conservatives in the House laid out in a way that would be good for the economy, that would allow people to keep more of their hard-earned money and get the government's boot off of the throats of the American people.
And how do you suggest they do that given this inherent problem that the government is spending someone else's money?
So I think one of the things you're starting to see is the left is buckling, right? They never actually put up on the floor of either the House or Senate their, quote, preferred clean debt ceiling increase. They don't even have the votes for it on their side. The only plan that's in fact passed in any chamber of Congress is the limit, save, grow, the conservative plan, like I said, to cut government spending, to do the permitting reform, work requirements you're talking about, things that would grow the economy, that protect the American middle class. So you're already starting to see the left understand, at least enough of them, that their policies of government spending, of taking from your paycheck, caused inflation, have caused this burden that the American people are seeing. So I think you are starting to see common ground, even if the White House press doesn't want to let you see it.
Richard Stern at the Heritage Foundation, it's really great to hear from you.
And pleasure to be here again. Thank you guys so much.